Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another special edition of the Lap Down. My name is Greg Farmer, your host, and with me tonight is Tyler and Ryan. How are we doing tonight, boys?
Doing fantastic.
All right. Tyler looks like he might be a little busy. As always, a big shout out to our music intro and outro to Mr. Will and the Alkali Project. Please be sure to check out their album, The Blood World, wherever you get your music. Tonight is a special episode. We have a guest with us tonight. Joining us tonight is BMG Nashville recording artist and fellow NASCAR fan Dawson Edwards. Dawson, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank y'all for having me on.
No, we thank you for coming on the show. I discovered Dawson on TikTok earlier last week, actually, through one of his songs that he was posting called "Something I Can Drink To," which is a very, very, very good song. And then after that, I kind of went through your discography on Spotify and listened to all of your music, and it is so good. Like you got a real talent there, man.
Hell yeah, thanks, dude. I've been doing it long enough, so I hope I've got a little something going for me.
Yeah. So give us a little bit. What was that, Ryan?
That's what I think every time I record one of these with you guys. Is that I think I've been doing it for long enough. I should know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of your backstory. Like, where are you from? How did you get into music and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Rome, Georgia, a little town that's not so little anymore, I say, but I'm about an hour northwest of Atlanta, about 3 hours southeast of Nashville. Dude, I just kind of I've always loved music. I mean, music and racing have always been just like my two things. I don't know why, but the music side of it, I just listen. My dad, huge, just like old school country music fan, like Waylon, Hank, Merle. All those bands. Listen to those all the time. My mom always had country radio playing. Always had like GAC, CMT, always playing in the house, and just always singing along to songs and all this, all that. And I started, I would say, writing, I guess what you would call a poems. It was basically just songs without music when I was, like 12, 13 years old. And then about 14, I started playing guitar and, putting music to all those songs, or, all those lyrics that I had. And I just kind of fell in love with it. Something I felt like I was good at. It kind of came easy to me. Not that it's easy, but I kind of picked up on guitar kind of quick. And I don't know, just kind of like how choruses and verses feel. It just kind of, it kind of just felt like something that was, you know, came easy and something I was supposed to do. I don't know how deep you want me to go into the story, but I did that for 4 years, from like 14 to 18. Started playing in every little Mexican restaurant, dive bar, sports bar, anybody that would let me play, music in front of people. I started doing that when I was a kid. And I mean, pretty much from, I'm going to say like 14, 15 years old, I knew I wanted to, I didn't care anything about school. I wanted to, graduate and move to Nashville. So, yeah, I'm 29 now. So I've been doing it for 10 years, 11 years. I would consider it, semi professionally, I guess you would say.
Yeah. No, I mean you can go as deep in your story as you want to. So you've been doing it for 10 years now. What are you doing currently?
So currently I write. So I don't write or work for BMG anymore. I know that's probably what the internet says and such, but I write for a company called Dream 3 and Cobalt Music, and I also stage manage for Travis Tritt. So that's what, happens nowadays for
That's
me.
amazing.
But it took, like I said, I moved to Nashville in 2015 when I was 19 years old. I got a job here in Rome, got a job right out of high school building countertops, saved up like, I know the funny part is everybody's like, I saved up enough money to go to Nashville, whatever in their story, but I don't know if it's like, how much money did you actually, save up? I saved up, I had $5,000 on the dot, $5,000 to, I'm like, all right, this is enough. I'm going to make it happen, and moved to Nashville. Didn't have to have a job like right off the bat, but quickly realized I needed a job. So I started working night shift at UPS because I could work at nighttime and write songs during the day, and that, worked for my schedule. And yeah, so I did that for about 2 years. From 2015 to 2017, I did that for exactly 2 years. I signed my publishing deal with BMG in 2017. Shortly thereafter, I got an offer for an artist development deal with BMG, and from 2017 to 2020, I had 4 years there. Did an artist development deal is I mean, it's basically like having a record deal, but you're not on the radio. You're doing all the same stuff. It's kind of like prepping you to do, all that. And, then 2020 happens, COVID happens, everything shuts down. The term of my contract was through 2020. And I think it was like June or July of 2020. And that's just, they weren't signing anybody, nothing was happening. And that's just the way the cards fell for me. So 2020, I have to figure out, like, all right, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay the bills? At that time, I'm not married. I'm just like, scrounging by. Like, I can get by with a bologna sandwich. I'm good to go with that. And so I literally worked every job you could think of. I mean, I worked at Advanced Auto Parts. I mowed grass at a golf course. Detailed cars for a mobile detailing company. Literally anything you could do to pay the bills, but also, still try to write songs. And in that time period, in 2021, so fast forward like a year, one of my best friends gets the assistant tour manager job for Travis Tritt. And the guy that was drum teching, he had to quit. His mom got sick, whatever, he had to get off the road, whatever it was. And so Caleb got me the offer of the job, and I took that job, and I was like, I'm down to take it as long as tell them I have zero experience doing any of this. And yeah, one thing led to the next, and I've been out there with Travis since 2021, so now like 4 years. And also in that time period, I started rattling off my first ever major label cuts, which, if you want to be a songwriter, that's what you're trying to do. And I rattled off a few of those, and finally got some publishing companies back talking to me again, and everything. And then January of 24 is when I signed with Dream 3 and Cobalt. So been with Travis since 21, signed with them in beginning of 24. And I mean, I don't know, this is what I came here to do. This is my, I get to travel with Travis and work for a freaking legend, and I get to write songs. And obviously, I still put out my own music. I'm pursuing the artist thing. I can't play as many shows as I would like to play, because I do work for Travis. But, the ultimate goal is I hope something does pop off for me on the artist side of things, and, that's, and see what happens there. So, yeah, that's kind of a quick, short story of the last 10 years there.
No, that's awesome, man. No, if you ever have a show down this way, let me know. I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, man.
Like, I would love to come support you.
We played a lot back. I don't know if you ever heard of the Brew House that was in Rome, but I mean, a lot of people came through there. And because you said you're from Alpharetta, is that correct?
Ackworth, about 45 minutes.
Okay, I knew it was somewhere around. But yeah, man, we used to around here could play the Brew House and sell a lot of tickets and all the things, but now the Brew House isn't a thing anymore, so that's not really an option. But yeah, man, I still do play, shows, opening up for other artists, and acoustic stuff here and there. But it's not, to be completely honest with you, I can, at the way the world is right now for artists, I can actually make more money to put into my music by working for Travis and writing songs than if it just was me out on the road myself, because I would just be losing money every weekend instead of, making money to invest back into my music. So for me right now, this is just like the perfect scenario, and it makes sense. And I really do. I love what I get to do. I don't have to wake up and be like, oh, I hate my job. It's like I wake up and like enjoy what I get to do every day. So it's pretty cool to get to write and, work with Travis.
Yeah. So let's get into the NASCAR side of it. how did you get into NASCAR? Like who were your favorite drivers when you were growing up? And like obviously you're wearing the hat right now, so we don't even have to ask who your favorite driver is right now.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
the NASCAR thing, people, ask me, I've done interviews and stuff before, and people are like, how did you get in the NASCAR? It's like, I don't remember like ever not being in the NASCAR. My whole entire life I have been around racing, been involved with it, watching it on TV. My dad's a mechanic. We have Rome Speedway in my hometown. My dad worked on dirt track cars there and at Dixie, in Woodstock and North Georgia. And so it was just like, I don't know. It's like it's not just my dad. My mom likes racing. My grandparents on both sides like racing. They went to races. It's just like racing is just, I've always been around it. I don't remember not loving racing and being around it and all the things. And my dad took me to Talladega because everybody always talks about Atlanta. The first time I ever went to Atlanta was if 2022 was when they reconfigured it. That was the first time I ever went to Atlanta, because Atlanta is about 2 hours and some change from Rome, and Talladega is only about an hour and 15 minutes. So we're closer to Talladega. And, so growing up, me and my dad went to Talladega a lot. And, Talladega was the only track I'd ever been to as a kid until I, became an adult and got to, go to different races and different places. And I've been to a lot of different tracks now. But yeah, dude, it's just always been, I don't know. Everybody I know loves racing and is obsessed with racing, and it just is what it is. And you're talking about favorite drivers. When I was a kid, my favorite drivers, my dad's was a massive Earnhardt guy. So Dale Earnhardt, and it was Mark Martin for me when I was a kid. And then, Earnhardt passes away. Mark Martin's, getting to the end of his career. It was Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards. I love Carl Edwards. I think what pulled me to Carl Edwards first was just his last name. And I remember him driving that unsponsored white 99 Ford back in the day, in the truck series, and doing the back. I don't know, it was just cool to a kid. I just thought that was awesome. So those two guys were definitely my guys, like my whole entire, teenage, all that, time. And then, yeah, my dad, like I said, from dirt track racing and everything, we're big dirt track guys. When Kyle Larson came onto the scene like 10 years ago, just, it's just so cool that he can drive everything. And I don't know, Larson's just been the dude since. But, yeah. That's
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Totally.
Did you ever meet Kyle Larson?
Yeah, I've met Larson a few times now. It's
I've met him at a few dirt tracks. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I haven't met him in a dirt track, but at NASCAR races, I have. I've met him at Kentucky. I've met him at Talladega a couple times, and I've also met him at Atlanta a couple times. And my dad's
He's a cool dude.
Pictures of him. My dad, yeah, he's awesome. He's super cool, super chill. Yeah, got to take pictures and do all the things,
Yeah, my wife and I, we went to Talladega last spring, and I got Alex Bowman's autograph on both of our hats, and Larson was there with him, and Larson had kind of walked away before I got a chance to actually grab an autograph. But he's actually really short in real life.
Very, very short, yeah.
Yeah, yes, he is.
So,
but
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Ryan, do you have any questions for him?
I mean, you guys kind of went through a lot of the ones that I would have had, but yeah, I've never gotten to meet Kyle Larson, so I have no idea how tall or short he is. But hey, maybe you should come up and run the dirt track sometime up here.
I agree. He probably would if he had some off time. I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into our recap, what out of all the races that you've been to, what is your favorite memory or favorite moment?
I have a few. So the first one that comes to mind, I'm going to say 2023 fall of October Talladega is when I proposed to my wife. I proposed to her on the start-finish line at Talladega. Ryan Blaney won the race. my buddy I was talking about earlier that got me hired on with Travis, his favorite driver is Blaney. So like that was, getting to be with, like getting engaged, proposing, Caleb getting to see Ryan Blaney win in person, like that whole deal was Caleb and his wife. Now they were with us. That was like really cool. Also at Talladega, I got to see Dale Jarrett's last win in the UPS car. Like I think he was in that. I can't remember if it was the 44 or if he was in the 8. I think it was the 44. I got to see that last win.
It was the 88, yeah.
Was it the 80? I can't remember. I got to see that. Not my favorite memory, but I do vividly remember I was in the stands. We're watching, Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, and Brian Vickers come down the back stretch, and I'm thinking like, holy shit, I'm about to see Dale Jr. win this race. And from where we were sitting, all you can see is just this huge cloud of not even white smoke. It's just dirt, just brown, dirt smoke going in the air. And I got to see that in person, when Vickers hit Jimmy Johnson into Dale Jr. I saw that in person. I saw, sorry to ramble. All these are like the vivid ones that come to mind. I was in the stands.
You're good, buddy. You're good.
Jeff Gordon got pelted with the beer cans, and my dad looks over at me and he's like, this is going to get wild. Like, he's like kind of covering me up, but I mean, full beer cans, going past our head. Jeff Gordon's getting pelted with them. I was there for that. And then another one is the 3-wide finish at Atlanta. I took my sister to her first ever race, and that was her first ever NASCAR race ever, was the 3-wide Blaney, Suarez, and Kyle Busch deal. And I told her, I was like, it's probably never going to top this race. Like, you came to the best one. Like, the race was great, the finish was great, all of it was awesome. So I told her, this is probably – it's going to probably all be downhill from here, the races you come to next. But those are some of the few most vivid memories I have growing up at NASCAR races.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that Atlanta race. I was at that race too with my son. He was
awesome.
8. He was 8 at the time, and he's a Blaney fan. And him seeing Blaney miss the win by a couple inches, he was kind of heartbroken on the way home.
I bet he was.
Yep. My all-time favorite memory is Talladega Spring 2015 when Junior won. That was my first trip to Dega.
See,
I was a diehard Junior fan growing up.
I never got to see Junior win, and that just hurts my soul. I have.
Ryan, you got something to say?
Yeah. Just looking to kind of some of the races that we've had this year. Do you have a favorite race from this current season so far?
This current season so far, I'm going to say anytime Kyle Larson has been in victory lane, any of those 3 have been up there.
Okay, yep.
As a which I'm sure we'll get into maybe this of like the next gen and all this stuff, but I mean, it's the Coke 600 has just became like one of the best races of the entire season here in the last few years. So like, the Coke 600 sticks out because it was an incredible race. Watching Chastain, get past Byron there at the end, having Prime, which made it feel like a big deal. I'm probably going to say the Coke 600 of this year, though, out of everything, was probably my favorite race of the whole entire year. Normally, I'm a big like love Darlington, and I was kind of like not impressed with Darlington this year. It just wasn't the same old Darlington I feel like that it has been in years past. And I've even posted on Twitter, before the Darlington race this year, I posted like one of the coolest things about Darlington to me has been no matter what car, what package, whatever they bring, like Darlington has always delivered. And then this year I was like, damn, it just like kind of did not deliver to me. I don't know. Maybe I could be, on that island by myself.
Let's be honest. Larson makes the Darlington races more interesting.
Yeah, totally. But and then wrecking twice and getting wrecked at the end, and when Blaney passed, who was it, Reddick, whatever it was, like at the end, and it just ended up. I don't know. It just wasn't the same Darlington that I've always loved. But yeah, all that to say, the Coke 600 is probably my favorite race of the year, and then we'll put the 3 Larson wins behind that.
All right.
All right. I didn't mean to cut you off a second ago. It looked like you were trying to show one of your tattoos.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say I got Earnhardt Senior, the '94 championship car, right here, and then I got the '04 Budweiser car right here. I don't know if you can really see it, but I have the. I mean, Dale Jr. hung the moon, dude. When I was a kid, I thought that dude was the. I
I'm
mean, I
right
still
here.
do.
We got 3 Dale Jr. fans right here. We're talking with 3 Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans.
Yeah, so I mean, y'all get it. I just thought, like this weekend, I was so pissed off when I heard Kyle Busch say the whole like warm body on the pit box thing. And I'm not saying that he's wrong, because I do know all the technology. And then, I mean, honestly, like Marty Lindley was probably like at the track, to be honest. Like, just being honest, like he's probably there, or he's at the war room, whatever. You know, telling Junior what to say, whatever. I don't care. I'm not saying Junior's down there like building the race car. But I was just like, damn it, dude. Like, you know, from all the years of the Kyle Busch Dale Jr. thing from, you know, '08 back in the day, and the Richmond deal, and getting into his car, all the stuff. It's like, man, just like, it's almost like Kyle Busch had to have like one more dagger into the Dale Jr., you know, Junior Nation thing, and just like one more thing to piss everybody off. And it's like, damn, you know. But whatever. I thought it was awesome that Dale Jr., you know, crew chief and won this weekend. I thought that was just badass.
Oh, yeah. Tyler, do you have any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, to Kyle's credit, he was directly asked about how he felt about Dale Jr. winning as the crew chief, which kind of just opened it up to the criticism.
Yeah, it just opened it right up. And
a better way, but
yeah,
I put that blame partially on the reporters asking him about that.
Totally. But then you have like Kyle Larson. They asked him the same thing, and Larson was like, dude, I think it's cool. He was like, I couldn't do it because I don't know anything about a race car. You know, I just drive them. You know, like you said, there's just probably a better way to go about it than calling him a warm body on the box. The warm body is probably what pissed me off the most, was the warm body comment.
Yeah, and I believe he did walk back some of those statements on.
Yeah, I saw his post.
I actually have one more question. Right. Now, since you're a huge Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan, what was your favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. moment or win?
I couldn't really understand you completely. I'm sorry. Did you say what was that?
Your favorite?
What was your favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. moment or win from his career?
My favorite junior moment. It's hard not to say the 01, you know, the Daytona race, and, you know, summer of 01, 4th of July. I'm also going to document, I think the Daytona race should still be the 4th of July. I'm just going to say that. That has nothing to do with the question, but I still think it should be the 4th of July. But, man, maybe, you know, like that's up there. But maybe it was like 2000. Was it like 14 when he won the 500 and he won, you know, Pocono, swept the Pocono races, and like he kind of had this resurgence of, you know, all this stuff, and we thought that was like this going to be like, it was almost reminiscent to Dale Jr. back in, what was it, 04, 05, 06, when he like said shit in Talladega Victory Lane, you know, like winning 7 races and all that. Like that was. I don't know, like that last glimmer of hope that we all had as junior fans of like, holy shit, like he's winning all these races, like the season, you know. I feel like those are kind of the things that are up there for me personally. I remember that. I remember 04, even though I was a kid, but I remember 2014 vividly. The rain delay and being late at night and the Austin Dillon wreck. I just remember that race so vividly, that Daytona 500.
The Austin Dillon wreck happened in 2015.
That was the summer race of that year.
Oh, that wasn't the 500 year.
No, sir.
Well, damn. I remember that race vividly then, too.
But then the Dillon crash happened during the summer race that same
But he also won, though. So, see, that's another. I remember that one vividly.
Yes. Yeah. So, you were technically correct, yes. But, now we're good stuff, man. But we're going to move into our recap real quick. The Cup Series raced at the Tricky Triangle yesterday, and Chase Briscoe saved just enough fuel to earn his first win with Joe Gibbs Racing, beating teammate Denny Hamlin to the line.
I will be
But
right back.
Oh, you're good. A couple of things that stuck out to a lot of the fans was that one, there was no green flag passes for the lead at all. And once again, the next gen car seemed to struggle, as we have documented a lot on this show and kind of everywhere amongst all podcasts. But Ryan, what were your thoughts coming out of Pocono yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was that I felt like I don't know if Denny Hamlin could have gotten closer for longer, but it felt like a lot of the time Denny Hamlin was trying not to pressure Chase Briscoe by staying between half a second to 3/4 of a second behind him, and I was like, you can't give the guy who needs to save fuel that much extra time to save it. You've got to be the aggressor, putting that pressure on him to burn up the fuel. And same thing with Blaney, and just either that he couldn't do it or he was choosing not to because it's a Joe Gibbs teammate. But regardless, he ended up giving up way too much time to the 19.
Yep. Tyler, what about you? What were your thoughts on the race yesterday?
I thought it was an alright race. I mean, it wasn't like the most spectacular race, but it was. I mean, it was good. I'm glad Alex Bowman got that stage win. He needed that. He had a pretty good run. Hendrick, I just didn't. Hendrick was just not there all day, other than Alex Bowman.
Well, other than the finishing results, 5th, 7th, and 9th. 5th, 7th, and 11th.
What I mean, they really weren't competing for the win, really, other than maybe Alex Bowman was the fastest out of all of them, even though the results show differently.
Yep.
Well, granted, I was happy to see Bowman leading and getting a stage win yesterday and all that, but most of that was kind of due to pit strategy too. They were flipping the stages and all that good stuff, and like we've talked about so many times on here, clean air is king. Once you got out front, you really couldn't be touched.
Denny Hamlin leading the entire first stage did not lead another lap the rest of the race.
Yep. Dawson, what did you think?
I'm right there with y'all. I am sick of the next gen car in a lot of ways, but also I have in the last few, I'm gonna say like 6-8 weeks, like I'm just trying to kick back and enjoy the race instead of like just being pissed off, because there's been multiple times in the last couple of years where I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible, but I'm like, this is like NASCAR, like watching a race on a Sunday for me specifically, like getting off the road, I get home on Sundays, like getting off the road, coming home on Sundays, we always get some beer, cook some food and watch the race. And I always try to say, like, watching a shitty race, grilling out, drinking beer is still better than not watching a race. So I will say this. I honestly think yesterday, if I didn't have social media and I didn't know, if I just like watched the Prime broadcast, this is my opinion about yesterday's race specifically. If I watched that race on Prime and didn't have social media and just watched the race, I think like I actually enjoyed the race. I did. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I even voted yes on Jeff Gluck's poll. I enjoyed the race. It was like, if I didn't have social media and see like all the negative comments, like in my mind, I'm like thinking, like, it was blowing my mind that like Chase Briscoe, he's trying to save gas. They can't get past him, all this stuff. But also, Prime's telling us like he's saving gas, but him, slowing down to go faster. He was actually running some faster lap times, letting off and all this. So I was, if I didn't see all the extra stuff, I probably would have been like, this was awesome. But on the flip side of that, I think if Fox was calling that race, I would have just been pissed. I don't know. I think I would have hated it all the way around, because I don't know. I think I would have.
That's
Just
Fox
the
for
way
you.
the way they present it to all of us that are watching it on TV. I'm just like, golly, this is terrible, and this is just a. It's like they just promote it like it's like a goofball, fun. Just I don't know what it's just like not my vibe. Everything that Fox does, and I posted on Twitter yesterday. I was like, I'm not trying to be like over dramatic, but the last 5 weeks, I have looked forward to the last 5 races more than I have in a long time. And it's all because of the broadcast, like not necessarily because of the racing. I mean, like I said, they've had some great races, the Coke 600, and having the host of our Stenhouse thing has really helped promote stuff too throughout the week or throughout the 5 weeks. I also thought Michigan was a really incredible race, but just in general, like I just haven't looked forward to a broadcast like I have with Prime in a long time. Like, dude, I'm trying to have the pre-race rolling the whole time. I'm watching the last 5 weeks I've watched the whole entire post-race, everything. And I don't know, it just makes me like more happy and more fired up all the way around than, Fox has made it. I just think if Fox had that race yesterday, I would have been bitching and complaining on Twitter and said no on Jeff Gluck's poll. But honestly, like because of the broadcast and because of what I saw, just me watching it with my own eyes on TV, if I didn't have social media, I'm a fan. I liked it. It was cool.
All right. Well, I mean, it's funny that you bring up Prime because that was going to be my next thing. Was Prime had 5 races. They had the Coke 600, Michigan, Mexico City, at Pocono, and what was the other one? Nashville. Out of like across those 5 weeks, starting with Tylor, what grade would you give the Prime broadcasts?
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm like
plus.
they could. There's always better, but I'm gonna give it a solid A. I'm not gonna go quite an A plus because there's always things that can do better, but I'm gonna give it a solid A.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
I mean, I think a lot of us have kind of said that Prime definitely upped kind of the standard for a lot of these companies, especially some of the ones like Fox who have been sliding massively. I mean, Fox has even been falling behind compared to NBC for the last decade, more than a decade.
Totally,
Fox has been sliding behind NBC, and now that a new broadcast partner has come in and has just blown them out the water. I'm hoping that it will lead to actual change for Fox going forward, but
I doubt it.
Same.
Yeah, it'll be one of those.
But I hope it does. I hope that they see that and they're like, we need to do this, we need to do that. Like, I think people are just gonna next year. Like, people are already like hate Fox, but now that we've seen, Prime. And, who knows what TNT brings. And people already have liked NBC better than Fox. Next year, now that we've seen what Prime can do, I think if they do not step it up, people are going to lose their minds. More than they already do. They already lose their minds a lot. But people are going to flip out next year.
Losing their minds that I want to mention as well.
Go ahead.
The one thing that has annoyed me when it comes to people's reactions to the Prime broadcast is that they offer a 30-day free trial, which covers the entire 5-race span.
Yep.
You didn't actually have to pay for Prime if you didn't want to.
Yep.
But
Ryan, before we move on.
Oh, I don't want to have to pay extra for it.
Before we move on, funny enough, it's a lot of the older fans that are complaining about it. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially over on Facebook.
Yep. Dawson, you said you gave it an A plus.
Yeah, totally. I gave it an A plus because it took me back to being a kid, like watching the race when like Fox and Speed did have the awesome pre-race and awesome post-race. I know everybody's been begging for post-race, but the biggest thing for me, even outside of like loving the hour plus post-race show they've done, they just take it seriously. Like, we don't have the goofiness and just silliness that Fox has had for like even like the pre-race show. You know, they're like, oh, Larry Mack on Door Bumper Clear, whoever's talking about it. It's like, we're network TV. We do this, we do that. Okay, that's fine. But even if you don't have a post-race show, at least make the pre-race show serious, make the broadcast serious as a whole. But like, let's just like take it seriously, not that it's just a big joke and a game and all, hip hip hooray, butterflies and bubblegum kind of thing. That's what I get from Fox, and that grinds my gears more than even like a bad product on the race. I mean, I mean that sincerely. I think a good broadcast can make a bad race enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
No, again, it's funny that you say that. I'm gonna give Prime an A+ as well. I wasn't the biggest fan of the race yesterday. Like Tyler said, it was all right and stuff. But like the last 20 laps, Adam Alexander, Steve Letarte, Dale Jr., they were making those last 20 laps interesting to watch.
Exactly.
Because even though there really wasn't like battles for the lead all day and stuff, you were kind of sitting there wondering, was like, oh, okay, well, is Briscoe actually going to be able to save enough? Is Hamlin going to catch him? Like, you were actually like invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
So with Steve and Dale, they were analyzing the drivers as they was last 20 laps, like telling them what they're doing and how they would go about it, them personally. And I liked how they're using their knowledge as a sport to inform the viewer so they get a better understanding. That's my biggest plus about that.
Well, and I think that's somewhat elevated by the fact that they have that chemistry from having been a driver and crew chief pairing as well.
Mm.
Versus having just, say, Larry Mack and any of the other drivers he's worked with in the past, where it's like, okay, Larry Mack and Kevin Harvick, for example, the two don't really have any chemistry together.
Yep.
Despite still having that driver crew chief.
If y'all had to pick, though, like if you're taking on the Fox broadcast, if you had to fire somebody, would you fire Larry Mack or Kevin Harvick? Or Larry Mack.
If we only have those two options, I don't know.
I'm firing Clint. I love Clint, but I'm firing Clint.
Yeah, I would say Clint Boyer.
See, Clint drives me crazy. He takes the goofiness to another level. Even more another level, and it drives me. I don't know. It drives me nuts. I like I said earlier, I have enjoyed these last 5 weeks so much that I'm like itching to turn on the pre-race and the race and the post-race and all that. With like Fox, I'm just like, I could care less about any of their 3-hour pre-race thing they do. I'm going to watch the race, and as soon as the race is over, we're turning it off and turning on, whatever else, and that's the end of it.
Well, as soon as the race is over, Fox is probably going to ship NASCAR off to FS2 or whatever else. Or something else before you even get the chance to flip the channel.
Well, going back to the Clint Boyer thing, my biggest thing with Boyer is he doesn't know when to stop talking. Like
I'm guilty of that.
He is overrode Mike Joyce so many times on like that last call.
100%.
Yep, Mike Joy is supposed to call the winner to the line. Like during the Daytona 500 this year, when Byron cleared that wreck, Mike Joy was supposed to call him, and Boyer was just like right on top of him the entire time. And I'm like, Boyer, shut up.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree wholeheartedly. And they try to promote Boyer as like the good old boy, have a good time and all that. And like, I love all that. Like that's, NASCAR, the whole like, whatever they do, the tailgate king thing, all that stuff. Hey, that's great and all, but it's like, he just takes it like another step even farther where it's just like this big goofy, like, I don't know how I wound up here, but I'm here. And, here we go kind of broadcast. And it's like, damn, dude, I don't know. It really grinds my gears.
Well, that's pretty similar to the guy I was going to say, actually. I was going to say, to be a little bit different and not to name the same guy everybody else has, I think Michael Waltrip is another one that needs to be kind of eased out. Yeah, great guy,
Totally.
and I love his
I
brewery
100%
in
agree.
Bristol, but
Actually,
I think it might be about time for him to not be on the broadcast.
Oh, dude, a
I mean,
truck
I
race
remember
is
that taco
unwatchable.
incident with Denny Hamlin.
Oh, the
years
taco,
ago.
brutal.
Yeah,
the truck race
brutal.
broadcast is like
goofy.
it's hard to watch.
It's
And
great
the- and
for
the-
sponsor commercials like his old Napa commercials, but that is
Yes.
where the goofiness belongs, not on the
I could
racetrack.
not agree with you more. And I think I saw some stats earlier this year. Beginning of this year, just with my schedule and stuff, I don't necessarily get to watch like live a lot of truck races. But this year, the way the schedule's worked out, I have gotten to sit down and really watch a lot of truck races throughout the season. And even before I kind of started seeing these posts on social media, I'm like, damn, dude, the truck series is like, I'm not talking about the broadcast, I'm talking about just the racing. I'm like, damn, it's been like really like an upgrade from what it was like, feeling like there's a caution like every 3 laps kind of deal. And then they came out with a stat. They almost did a whole entire, what was it, like 25 to 30 races, whatever it was, without a green white checker, no overtime, whatever it was. And it was like, dude, like we're like the truck series, even the truck series deserves more than what Fox Sports 1 gives them with the whole,
Same
not
with
even being at the
Arco.
track and just Jamie Little, and there's no excitement. And I mean, we could see a dude flip down the front stretch 15 times, and I think they would just be talking. I think we have more excitement than what they talk about right now when it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, another knock on Fox that we mentioned back when it happened was one of the years at the LA Memorial Coliseum. I think it was Eric Jones threw a helmet at somebody, and how in a quarter-mile racetrack do you not have a camera that captured it at all? I mean,
Or-
or to go to a fan camera to find it on Twitter later.
Or the one where the trucks were at Knoxville and Stuart Friesen's
Jessica
wife
Friesen
flipped.
went up and over.
Or I think it was his wife that went over. I think, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Jessica Friesen.
Yeah, Jessica went over, and they didn't even catch it on the broadcast.
Yes,
Or that one crash at. I was going to say just that one crash at Texas where the dude lost the tire and climbed the wall into the fence.
It was like Quinn
and
Huff or something like that, I think, that did that.
Yeah, and the cameras barely caught it, like as he was coming off the wall.
There's been just more
like
pictures of it on Twitter than there has been any video footage.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they're like taking more initiative for the IndyCar series over NASCAR. Now, if you've noticed that they haven't promoted NASCAR like they do IndyCar in I think over a decade.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought the
I
IndyCar
watched the
commercials
entire
were
IndyCar
incredible.
race
They were really cool.
the other day.
The broadcasts are good. The box broadcasts for IndyCar are actually really good.
Yeah, I watched the Indy 500, and then last week I turned the broadcast on. I mean, like minutes, maybe seconds
Joseph.
before Newgarden flipped over.
I tuned
Like,
in just as it happened.
Yeah, same. It was like right as it happened, boom, Newgarden is over on his lid, on the pit wall. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yep. Yeah, because I watched the entirety of the last 2 actually IndyCar races, and Fox managed to somehow not do a full screen commercial over green flag racing throughout the entirety of 2 straight races. They can't go 20 minutes on NASCAR without throwing a full screen commercial.
Dude, Talladega this year was absolutely insane.
That was terrible.
Oh, dude, I was losing my mind about the whole Talladega thing.
Oh my god, it was crazy.
We were too.
Crazy.
Oh, we were too, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the commercial thing. That was one of my other big pluses for the Prime broadcast was every commercial break was side by side. And the last segment of the race, depending on where they were commercial free.
Yep.
Which I really like.
It was incredible. I like I said.
Now, I was going to say, since it's TNT and Max, it is going to be the same crew, but it's going to be back on cable television. So So, how do you guys think it's going to roll out? Do you think they're going to be more solid commercials, or do you think they're going to do the same tactics they did on Prime?
I'm hoping it's something similar.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll stick to the side by side commercials. Now, maybe we don't get the last 70 laps of a race commercial free, but if we can at least get the side by side commercials to avoid missing entire moments of the race due to a commercial
My
free.
my problem is the fact that like being on cable television, I just don't know if they're going to have the pre-race or the post-race like they on Prime. I mean, they might on Max. I just don't know if they're going to do it on TNT because it being a cable TV and they have time slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'd actually like to see. Maybe if the cable TV providers can't offer the live on the air coverage, to allow NASCAR to do a full post race on their YouTube channel after the fact.
That'd be kind of nice, actually. That would be kind of cool.
At least that would be something for fans to do it, where you aren't having to buy up the TV time. Problem is, I think Fox typically is not a big fan of NASCAR going and doing stuff that would potentially take stuff away from their airtime of whatever else they've got going on. But
that's Fox being a greedy corporation, but that's besides the point.
yeah.
Yep. But well, we're gonna move on to the next thing real quick. We're about halfway through the season, give or take a couple races. What grade would you give just the season overall, and what maybe do you look forward to for the last half of the season, Tylor?
I personally, because it's been a mix of great racing, terrible racing, and meh racing, I personally give it a. I really don't. I want to give it a higher, but I'm gonna go with a C plus because honestly, there's been a lot more like not so great races compared to great races, and they need to do something about the car. And I'm actually looking forward to this run to the playoffs and the bracket challenge because I want to see it's going to bring an exciting challenge, especially with Atlanta, Dover, in a great variety of tracks coming up, and it's a great run to the playoffs. I want to see who makes it in, who will win at Daytona, and how the playoffs will shape up going into Darlington.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, for the first half of the season, I mean, yeah, you've had some quote unquote boring races, like for example the Kyle Larson domination show at Bristol, which I was subject to.
It was just an overall terrible race.
Night race. But then we've also had our fair share of really exciting races, like the run down the end to the Talladega Super Speedway race. Obviously, Fox didn't handle that well, but the race as a whole, I'm trying not to dock the racing quality itself because of the broadcast, but that was a great race. Texas Motor Speedway was amazing.
That was shocking with how good that race actually was.
Yeah, and of course I had to pick that weekend to be out of town and having to catch the end of the race. But all in all, I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid B for me. And
All right.
In terms of the looking to the rest of the season, definitely looking forward to every single race down the stretch. In particular, I want to give some love to Richmond Raceway because I feel like people hate on that thing way more than it deserves. So, just wanted to give that shout out there.
All right. What about you, Dawson?
I was gonna say B as well. The thing that there's been I just agree with both of y'all. There's a lot of great moments that this car and stuff brings. There's also a lot of not great moments. I guess the thing that kind of deters some things for me is when it's Kansas and Darlington, the things that I was looking forward to the most, they don't deliver as much as I thought they would. And maybe it's because in years past with this car, they've been, so great. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm just kind of, even though, like I said, Larson won that Bristol race, and I mean, it was, pretty brutal of a race, and it was after we had the and I would love to know, all three of y'all's opinions on that. What was y'all's opinions on the tire wear race at Bristol? Was it too much tire wear? where you were like, hell, or too much where you're like, this is too much, or were you like, hell yeah, we finally got some tire wear? Because like
I'm gonna go
to
for
deter
2024 Food City 500. Now, I actually personally, I kind of like where it showed how like the veterans that know how to manage tires, and it showed the skills
I thought it was
of the
so
drivers.
cool that they were the three of the fastest at the end.
But I also don't like how it reminded me of 2008 Indy with how many blowouts they actually had.
How many See,
and
that's a fine line you got to toe there.
But I'm also going to add on.
Overcorrected for the night race.
I'm going to say this also. I think the tire compound and the PJ1, it's just like because it was cooler this year at Bristol. I think it's because it's so temperature sensitive. That was part of the reason why the race because there was no temperature in the track, so their tires couldn't wear as quickly. Mm-hmm. That's where I think why the tires were wearing out a lot quicker last year, because it was a lot warmer. And then they overcompensated in the night race. But like I said, they need to find a fine line and figure out how to get temperature in the track, especially on cooler afternoons.
I mean,
Ryan?
it's not like they had a solution to this. They were pretty close to at least being able to slap a Band-Aid on it while they try and fix the problem at large in terms of the car. I mean, it's not like we had an option tire that made for more passing available. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's a gimmick, but at least it worked as a Band-Aid while they could to help them buy time for the rest of it. But nope, they've canned that project.
I do want to rant about the car before we end tonight.
Well, go ahead and rant.
Yeah. So my biggest issue, like back to the finish at Pocono, it's because Denny Hamlin had multiple opportunities to get by him, but he got so arrow tight getting up behind him. It's because of the dirty air. These cars are so prone to dirty air, especially on drafting tracks. It's great racing on 1.5 miles because they're not drafting as much. But tracks like Pocono, Michigan, I don't know. Well, pack racing, you can't really do much about that. But the dirty air is crazy on the pack racing, but that's always going to happen no matter what kind of package you do. But back when the Pocono, it's the fact that they need to do something about the downforce on those 2-mile tracks and anything with longer straightaways, because of the drafting. It's so hard to pass and make runs because there's a bubble. Remember early 2013? Remember where they had that stupid bubble when they first got the Gen 6 car out?
Yeah.
My problem with that is the fact that they need to either increase. I think personally with the big tracks, I think they need to increase the horsepower but lower the downforce so it's harder to drive the car.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree 100%. But back to what we were talking about, the midseason grades, I'll give it a B minus, and it's like Dawson, Ryan, and Tylor said. We had a mixture of okay races, great races, bad races. To me, kind of what made the races is what kind of our big topic has been tonight, the broadcast. We've had two different broadcasters doing the races. Obviously, Fox, not so great. Prime has been amazing. Also, being at the races in person has helped a lot, too. I was at Atlanta and Talladega this year.
And I'll be at Watkins Glen and maybe Dover in a few weeks.
Yeah, and what I'm looking forward to down the stretch is, we're going to Atlanta or Echo Park Speedway. I still don't like it.
It's still
call it what it is.
Yep.
Atlanta.
Yeah, going to Atlanta this weekend, so it's going to be a good one. It's a night race too. You got 2 road courses in a row with Chicago and Sonoma coming up, so you're going to have your road course ringers coming out. Dover, Indianapolis. I'm excited for Indianapolis, actually. I thought it was pretty good last year. And then just that final run, like Tylor said, to the playoffs, because you got 10, 12 drivers vying for 5 spots in the playoffs right now. realistically, unless you get just some outsider that gets a fluke win at Daytona, like kind of Harrison Burton did last year,
Or
or whatever.
SVG, SVG at I'm gonna
Mexico.
say it. I'm gonna say it right now. That's a fluke win. I'm gonna put it there right now. That's a fluke win.
It really wasn't. I
Eh.
wouldn't define it as a fluke.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
But do you really think he's gonna win another race this year though? Like he's gonna be a one. I personally think he's gonna be a one and done in the playoffs.
Chicago or the Watkins Glen race.
Chicago and Watkins Glen. I think SVG has a chance to have 3 wins this year.
Although that was a good finish last year at Watkins Glen.
Had he not gotten crashed out last year, it was going to be between him, Joey Hand, and Alex Bowman for Chicago last year.
Yeah. And I'm not. My thing is, it's like I don't necessarily agree with the whole this is the way NASCAR is right now in 2025. And if I just was a team owner and needed wins, and I knew that would make me to the playoffs, SVG is my guy for the road courses because he's gonna get out of what we have 5 or 6 road courses in a season. I think you give him 6 chances, no matter what road course it is, he gets at least 1, so that gets him into the playoffs. And then who knows about the others? He's not gonna run he's not gonna run terrible at any road course. So I don't know.
Isn't the Roval in the first round of the playoffs this year or no?
No, Roval's in round 2.
Yeah, so I'm not saying he's going to go out and win the Roval, and he's not going to win the championship, but it's also the way that NASCAR is. I don't think anybody that's 15th, 14th, 16th in point. There's a handful of guys that are going to go out and go for the title. So him winning is a lot less of a fluke win in my opinion, than Harrison Burton last year.
Yeah.
Yep. And think about it this way too. This is what the guys on DBC said last week. SVG went into that race at Mexico 33rd in the points. Now he's in the playoffs, so at the end of the season, he's going to finish no worse than 16th.
Yeah, that's a
so think of
dollar swing.
Yeah, think of the monetary value that he's going to bring to Trackhouse just by winning one race.
Yeah.
And do y'all remember? I don't know if it's still a thing now, but do y'all remember when Justin Marks was on the Dale Jr. download, talking about when it might have been the first year, whatever it was, but they had incentives in their contract, guys making the playoffs. Like if he gets this car in, it's this much. If he gets both cars in, it's this much. Just when they were a 2-car team. I wonder if that's also still a thing, still today. Like, hey, if we can get outside of the money he gets just from straight up going 33rd to 16th, sponsorship wise, hey, if he gets in the playoffs, this is X amount of dollars more. I wonder if that's still a thing with Trackhouse.
Yep.
That is a good question. But moving forward, we're talking about points and all that stuff. The in-season tournament starts this weekend at Atlanta. The seating was done over the last 3 races based on the drivers' average finishing positions. I filled out my bracket today. Some of the
I completely forgot to, honestly.
Yep, you can do it on the NASCAR app, I believe. And I'm trying to find.
It was NASCAR.com/challenge is what the thing to go fill it out was, I believe.
Yeah, but yeah, some of the some of the matchups going into the weekend, you got Denny Hamlin against Ty Dillon, Kyle Busch versus Brad Keselowski. You got Alex Bowman against Joey Logano, Ryan Preece versus William Byron, stuff like that. I filled out my bracket. Shockingly, I've got Alex Bowman and William Byron in the final 2, and I got Byron winning it all.
All right, I'll have to look at more closely at their path to the thing, because I tend to remember one or both of those guys having fairly tough paths.
Well, upsets happen every day.
Oh yeah, it definitely can.
Yeah, I didn't feel
But
I didn't fill one
I
out
had a
yet.
couple of other matchups I wanted to highlight from this first round, especially.
yeah. Well, Dawson, you have until Saturday to fill one out before the race starts. But Ryan, please go ahead.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Brad versus Kyle Busch, the battle of the older veteran drivers. But then like you've got Bubba versus Suarez, which is a pretty interesting matchup because I think if Suarez can scrape by at Atlanta, which Atlanta is one of his better, quote unquote intermediate sized tracks, then he has I think a better shot at the road courses versus Bubba. If Bubba's able to knock him out, I see Bubba struggling at the road courses, so that's one to keep an eye on. And then you've got Blaney versus Hocevar and Larson versus Reddick ended up paired up against each other, which is an interesting one. And then one that's going to really hurt me at the end of Atlanta is going to be the fact that Michael McDowell versus Allmendinger, one of the two is going to get knocked out before they see a road course.
I have Kyle Larson winning it all.
All right. Well, that answers my next question. Who do you guys think takes the $1 million at the end of the tournament?
I had it between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. And I go Kyle
What about
Larson.
you, Ryan?
I haven't looked at. I only just saw the bracket earlier today. I haven't gone through and decided exactly what I'm going to be putting down, but I think you're going to look for your all-around drivers, especially because the second and third rounds are both at road courses. I think things like that are going to make it hard for guys like Denny Hamlin. Traditionally doesn't have the best road course skills. Similarly, Logano typically struggles at road courses, so those would be some of your
I don't even have
that most people would maybe say are heavy favorites that may struggle.
I have Logano losing in round one, in my personal opinion.
Okay, well, who's his round one against?
Bowman.
Bowman, yeah. I don't know. I feel like that one could go either way, but
that one could go either way. And I had Denny. I had in the second to last round. I had Denny versus Chase. That one was a hard one. I chose Chase over Denny just because Chase is stronger at the tracks coming up overall.
Yeah. I think it would be hilarious to watch Kyle Busch go ahead and get the $1 million.
If he does, I will be shocked with how his season's going.
He can run good at Atlanta and survive round one against Brad Keselowski. Then he was top 10 at COTA earlier this year, and I don't remember how he did at Mexico.
He wrecked like hell. He came in and wrecked
He was the bowling incident.
Yeah,
he went bowling.
But at COTA, the one incident-free road course he did have, he was top 5 all day long and had a shot to win it.
And he's been pretty quick in the past at Sonoma, too. So
if he can stay in the mix at Chicago and there, he can get through rounds 2 and 3, and then he heads into Dover, which is probably...
I believe Kyle Busch has a win at Sonoma, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he won
it the year he had a championship.
2015. Yeah, 15. That's right. He won 2015. That's right, because he came back from the broken leg and just went on a tear.
Yeah.
Broken legs. Broke both of them.
Yeah.
And his ankle, I believe, in that accident. But anyway,
Dover's
continue.
going to be a tough track. I'm hoping that maybe he can scrape through there, and then it's all about just being good at Indianapolis, which he's dominated Indianapolis before. He can do it again.
But not. The thing is, it's the next-gen car, and it's only the second race of the next-gen car.
I know. I am also not denying that there is obviously massive Kyle Busch bias coming in for the coach.
I honestly kind of hope he wins, but I also kind of want to see Kyle Larson win it all, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, and that's gonna be the weird thing when we get down to like Dover and Dover and Indy, because you only need to outduel one car. Versus at Atlanta, where there's going to be a lot of guys hauled in.
I see Alex Bowman as a strong contender, though, especially with Dover and Indy coming up and Chicago Street Course.
Yeah.
Yep. What about you, Dawson? Who do you got winning it?
I can't say because I don't have the list here in front of me, and I haven't dove into all of it or made my picks on the website yet. I just saw today it was the NASCAR.com/challenge or whatever, and I actually copied the link and put it in my notes to to do it. So I haven't done it yet. So it's hard for me to say, other than I think with Atlanta being first, it is anybody's game. And I personally am way more excited about this than it comes across as like everybody's kind of like, oh, real nonchalant about it. Like, I think it's pretty cool. Like, I'm not really the big gimmick guy, and I don't consider this a gimmick. So, like, I think it's
They did this with
pretty
like
cool.
DirecTV, like in the late 2000s. I believe it was 2007, 2008. They did this with DirecTV, where they had like the in-season challenge or something like that.
I remember them talking about something about that. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would have
so
loved to have seen SVG sneak his way in, but
same. So if
unfortunately wasn't
SVG
in the
was
top
been in
30.
there, this would have been hell. Because if he could have made it past Atlanta, it would have been a party for those two road courses.
Exactly, and then he gets to Dover, and then it's like, okay, he's two race wins away from, or not even race wins, because you don't have to win any of the races for the.
Just got to outperform them.
Be better than your one other opponent.
100%.
And it adds more to competition, especially like with the playoff, especially with the in-season bracket coming up, and it just with the playoff implication too. It's going to make I personally think it's going to make the racing more exciting.
Yeah, and it'll give the broadcast something to focus on if a race does start to dry out. Like, for example, at Mexico a couple weeks ago when SVG was just decimating. Imagine if they could have talked about, say, Stenhouse going up against McDowell or someone else for the to advance to the next round of the tournament, or Chase Elliott or even Kyle Larson coming back from the early wreck, trying to scrape enough points together or scrape enough positions together to pass Reddick in points.
Yep. It'll be exciting over the next 5 weeks. Definitely something to look forward to. But we're going to go into our last segment of the night. This is our green flags and black flags. For our new listeners, green flags is something that you liked during the race weekend, and black flags is something that you did not like. And we will kick it off with Tylor.
My green flag honestly has to go actually to Alex Bowman for the last few weeks of performances. He had a crap stretch of races, and it's like this time of year, I think keep that momentum going. I think he will turn his season around. But unfortunately, my black flag, and I've done this before with black flag, it's the package and the car itself. I'm sorry, but you got to do something about the car.
Yep.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all said plenty about the car, but I'm going to actually give the black flag to something that I didn't get the chance to rant about enough earlier, because we were kind of talking about a lot of the Amazon Prime broadcast pros. And I just got to rant about this thing because it annoyed me down the stretch, and I'm sure probably nobody else even paid attention to it. But what on earth was that burn bar statistic? Because it was like burn bar miles per gallon, and it's like, okay, so is this how many miles per gallon they're burning? Does that mean that that's a good thing to have a higher number, a bad thing to have a higher number? Like,
yeah, they didn't really explain that well.
A higher number, but if you're talking about a burn bar, usually you want to be burning less. So I couldn't figure that one out. If anyone knows the answer, I'd love to hear an explanation as to what the burn bar actually is supposed to be for. But yeah, I couldn't.
I have no idea
whether or not the burn bar was supposed to be for.
Jeff Gluck did a good article about it. If you go to his page, and he talks about like the technology they use for it and Prime being involved. You should just go check it out. If it's something if you actually want to know, that's like they talk about, what's on there.
Because the broadcast, because between fuel burn, it's like, okay, so that would imply a smaller number would be better. But then miles per gallon, typically you want to get more miles per gallon. So that was just the thing. Was like, okay, is Briscoe's number getting bigger a good thing or a bad thing when he was out there leading? But in terms of a good thing, though, I will also go ahead and give it right back to Amazon Prime for just the broadcast work that they've done the last 4 or 5 weeks now in a row, giving us some of the best broadcasts we've had in a real long time, and hopefully it'll elevate the rising tide, will raise all the boats, so we can have hopefully 4 good broadcast partners.
All right. What about you, Dawson?
Damn, you took my green flag right there. My green flag is gonna be Amazon. I mean, it has to be.
Yeah.
I've said it a couple times already, but dude, I've been so excited to watch these races the last 5 weeks that like it literally takes me back to like watching NASCAR race day on speed when I was a kid. Like it just the whole thing excited me, whether it was a good race or a bad race. I don't know. It just like Amazon Prime A+ green flag. You know, I'm taking it all day, every day.
Yep.
And then my back. So the black flag, is this just for Pocono or is this like black flag the whole deal?
Just for the weekend.
Just for the weekend. My black flag is Kyle Busch for calling Dale Jr. a warm body. It's got to be.
Yep.
That's my black flag. Like, damn.
I respect that. Yeah.
Could have been just like said a different way. Which can I also counter this? Like, I'm also like enjoy Kyle Busch being Kyle Busch and saying like, you know, like saying stuff like that again. Like I can kind of get into that, but I can also just like, damn, it was about Dale Jr. and that's my dog, and I just didn't enjoy him calling him a warm body. Literally, him saying warm body is what rubbed me the wrong way. So, yeah, black flag is Kyle Busch saying Dale Jr. was a warm body.
All right. I mean, I respect that. My green flag goes to a person that I gave a black flag to a couple of weeks ago, Chase Briscoe. My black flag, I gave him a black flag a couple of weeks ago for winning all these poles, but not being able to put a full race together. Well, he finally put a full race together yesterday, saved enough fuel, finally got that win. I'm actually a big fan of Chase Briscoe since he was in the Xfinity Series driving for SHR. It's glad to see him finally come out on top in like top tier equipment finally. My black flag, I'm sorry, Brian, but I have to give it to Kyle Busch, not because of the comments about Dale Jr., just because of the streak that he is on. He had yet another DNF yesterday.
Of his own
hopefully,
doing, I believe.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I've become more of a Kyle Busch fan over the last couple of years. Hopefully, he can turn it around here soon and maybe get back to victory lane before the playoffs start. But that is going to close our show out tonight. Dawson, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
I got one question.
All right.
How did y'all three guys meet?
Funny enough,
I used to race with Tylor in a league a few years ago, but like we came together through
like an iRacing league.
NASCAR Heat.
No, yeah,
NASCAR
Xbox.
Heat? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't do NASCAR Heat anymore. I do iRacing now.
Okay.
But I met Ryan through a former mutual friend who got me involved in the whole podcast stuff when they said they wanted to start up a racing podcast. And so it was me, Tylor, Ryan, and a few other people who are normally here, but we just kind of dimmed down the house tonight.
And then, Ryan, where are you from?
I'm from all the way up in Maine, so
you're in Maine.
When it comes to tracks, it's not as easy to get to most of them. But.
Yeah. Me and Ryan are from all from the Northeast. I'm from the great state of New York, Watkins Glen.
Great state is a big.
But I also, funny enough, Dawson, I actually have family down in Rome, Georgia.
No way.
My grandmother lives just in a trailer park just outside of Rome.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep.
And then, Greg, you're born and raised in Georgia, right?
Yes, sir. Born and raised. I moved to Connecticut for a couple of years for work a couple of years ago, and that's where I met the woman that I'm with now. Probably one of the best decisions ever because, I met her. She's down here. We have a daughter together now. And I'm just, life couldn't be better, honestly. But yeah, I had to get back down here to see my other two kids because, story for another time. Yeah, I mean, we're one big, great family of podcasters.
Dude, that's awesome. I
that
just want to say thank y'all for having me on. Wait, go ahead.
It just started out as all three of us actually met through. Well, I met Greg and Ryan through league racing. They met each other. started out like met them in like end of 2019, most of them.
Okay.
Yep.
I just think it's like, people down social media and stuff a lot, and it's like, honestly, I think it's pretty cool. Like, dude, like you see in my video getting at like asking me to come on here, like I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that like through TikTok specifically for like me personally, I have been able to reach so many people like through using NASCAR and like my fandom, but also it's like people see the music and stuff and that like being a NASCAR fan and then also the music thing, they're just like, it's like a hell yeah, like this like NASCAR community of people is like so cool. And I had a guy, it was actually on one of these last couple TikToks that kind of, did a little bit, in the last couple days. And the dude said I can't even remember what the guy's name was or who he said, like, I think he said something like shitty about Kyle Larson because I had a 5 hat on in the video. And he said something, and I was like, dude, honestly, like, I don't care who you cheer for. Like, if you're a NASCAR fan, like, you're cool with me, and like, I'm in, and like, we can be friends. And he was like, dude, honestly, that was like the greatest answer ever. Like, you got to follow. Like, I love your music. Like, it's cool. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I just think all this, like, the whole NASCAR community, as much as like there's a lot of bitching and complaining on Twitter and whatnot, it's
There's
like
some great people.
yeah, I think the majority is like you go to races and you meet these people, and a lot of people on social media have become like great friends literally through NASCAR. And I just think that's like, honestly, one of the coolest things ever. Like, not that I'm like in an NFL circle or soccer or any other major sport, but I don't think from what I've seen, it's quite that way. Like, the NASCAR community really is like tight knit, and it's like, we're all boys,
Yep.
and like everybody, like, regardless of who you cheer for, it's like, dude, you like NASCAR, like, we can be boys, So I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, like I might add fuel to the fire back when it was like the Kyle Busch versus Brad Keselowski days, but all in all, as long as you're good, as long as you treat me decent, I'll treat you decent.
Totally.
Oh,
Yep. Absolutely. No, we appreciate the comments, Dawson, and again, thank you for coming on and agreeing to do this. It's been a great pleasure. You are more than welcome to come back anytime that you want,
Yeah,
as
man.
long as your schedule allows. We'd love to talk to you again, get some more insight and stuff like that. But we're going to close it out tonight. Big thank you to all of our sponsors. Circle B Diecast, promo code LAPDOWN for $5 off at checkout. Our other sponsors, Fanatics, Fubo TV, Sleeves, Century PC, Smacking Sunflower Seeds, and Dr. Squatch. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring us. Be sure to go give Dawson a follow on TikTok or his other social media pages. Check out his music. It is great, great music. Be sure to check out Ryan's YouTube page, Ryan Dyer. Also, check out our other podcasts too. Dirt and Turf, Biscuits and Penalties, The Hard Count, Passing the Pigskin.
and
All great shows.
And a new podcast coming this July. So, and everybody's gonna love it. Why are we here?
Oh yeah, that's going to be like our little fun podcast that we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just us
Starting
being
July
ourselves.
1st.
Hell
Yep.
yeah.
But yeah, just be sure to check out all of that. Again, Dawson, thank you so much. But
Dude, thank you
And
until
thank you to the
next
Alkali
time.
Project.
Great.
Thank you to the Alkali Project.
Yep. No, it was fantastic. But until next time, I am Greg, and for Ryan, Tyler, and our friend Dawson, this has been the Lap Down, and we will see you guys right after Atlanta.
Deuces.
Thank y'all.
Deuces.